Sideline crowd. I'm your host, Skylar Timmins, and we're here for another episode of Moments, and this time I'm joined by my oldest brother, Dustin Timmins. How you doing, Dustin?
Hello.
That's all you get. So, what moment are we looking at, Dustin? You're a huge Rockies fan. You got plenty of moments in their history. What are we looking at here?
Well, this is the Game 4 of the NLCS 2007, the Rocktober, the game that opened the path for him to get into the World Series. I had waited since 1993 when they started playing for them to actually make it, because there was a lot of dark years. And 2007 was that miracle season.
So where were you at this moment in time in your life, 2007?
Well, 2004 to 2006, I was in Peru, so I missed baseball for 2 years. And in 2007, I was playing baseball at Sishu Pueblo, and I remember being in our apartment, and there's my roommates. One, he's from New Mexico. He didn't really care about the Rockies, and some other people. And I was the one sitting on the edge of my seat the whole time because of what it meant to me.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to hop into this. We're in the bottom of the fourth. We'll jump around in this game. But Seth Smith, so this game was started by Franklin Morales and Micah Owings. So that was your rookie matchup, the first NLCS game ever started by two rookies. So we're picking up here in the bottom of the fourth. Seth Smith pinch hitting for Franklin Morales here in the bottom of the fourth with 2 outs. I believe Brad Hopp and Willie Taveras are on base. They walked, and that's where we're going to pick it up here. And we're going to hop around a little bit. Good old Seth Smith.
Now, Seth Smith was, one of the best pinch hitter you wanted in the late innings. I don't know in 2007, but every time I think of Seth Smith is late inning dramatics of hitting the ball out of the yard, getting on base.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy that I miss for the Rockies.
I think he last appeared with the Orioles or something like that. I wonder what he's up to these days. So you got Micah Owings, who actually was a pretty good starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks in his rookie year. And old Seth Smith swinging through him. I'll skip forward here a little bit to catch things up. But unfortunately, were you ever able to get to any of these games or kind of be close to them at least?
My roommates and my buddies from the team, we went up during the Rocktober, when they were finishing out the season. We were at the last game of the season,
mm-hmm.
The one where Manny Corpus, the off-balance throw to get him out at first. We'd bought rock pile seats, so we were just bouncing around the stadium trying to get better seats as the game went. By the time that happened, we were just up in the concourse just behind home plate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a really cool feeling, knowing that they were going to play another game after that. But if I lived in Denver, I'd probably be at Coors Field every time there's a home game.
So there's the 1-2 to Smith. Oh, that's a little blooper.
And that pretty much sums up how the Rockies won games that season. Just anything good that could happen would happen.
Yeah, like that's a little bloop shot down the line. And I think that's something I always remember. It just seemed like every single game, there's just the one little tiny hit, the little bloop double that would really make the difference. So we're going to skip forward here. So there's Matt Suey getting an RBI single. And then we got the big man, Matt Holliday, coming up.
Now, we forget how much of a monster Matt Holliday was for the Rockies. Just a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And people, I always forget about him, though. Even though he was so good, I think it's because as soon as he left and when they brought in Cargo just filled up that hole that Matt Holliday left. But he was a really good player and a really good guy. And just as a pitcher, I'd be terrified
Well,
to throw to him.
Well, even there, you just see that swing and a miss, just the
Sheesh.
raw power behind it. Just a vicious swing. And I remember, when he came back in 2018 for the last bit of the season, we got to see him in person. Like, still just gigantic arms, looked like he could still hit the ball out of the ballpark. And just like he does here, just a moonshot to center field. So what was your reaction as soon as you saw him hit that home run?
Because once he hit that, the way the season had gone, it was in the bag. They were going to get this.
Yeah, and just the slow trot, but I think always we remember the cargo swings of him hitting home runs, the Dante Bichette. But I think, like you were saying, we don't really remember Matt Holliday's as much. But even though he still had that pretty iconic, as soon as he hit a bomb, a no-doubter, throws the bat down and just gets out of there.
That was his thing, the follow-through, the one hand.
We still have all those.
Just effortless. The ball exploded off his bat. The ball would just boom. And when this happened, I could relax a little bit.
That ended Mike Owings' night. But like all good things with the Rockies, they don't make it easy on themselves. They throw in some dramatics with skip forward here a bit more as the old pizza slingers coming in.
Well, Brian Fuentes, he had all-star years as their closer this year. He really struggled, and that's especially relievers, they go through a funk, and sometimes it'll last quite a while. And that's what happened to Fuentes. And anytime, even in his good years, I never trusted Brian Fuentes as much. But yeah, when he started blowing the game here in the 8th inning, the thing that always, knowing the Rockies were up 3-0, I was a little relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to have to go and play in Arizona again. Just do it here at Coors. But seeing Eric Burns fly out and have a terrible game after he had talked all kinds of trash, it was beautiful to see him perform terribly.
So there's a man on first, Connor Jackson. I think he'll get on base here. You just look at that. The Diamondbacks had 38 come from behind wins that year. And their records, there's only I think they had the same winning record thanks to the Rockies game 163. Still a pretty good matchup here. There are guys on the corners. You're up by 5, so you're feeling pretty good, like you were saying, top of the 8th.
But it's Coors Field. In the history of Coors Field, you never know what can happen. It could be one pitch, then one pitch, then one pitch, and you're down by 5 runs.
Yeah. So the bloop and a blast really comes into effect at Coors.
That and you cannot walk people.
Yeah. I think that's always been the killer for the Rockies.
Oh, and their relievers now and their starters in the last 2 seasons. Oh.
And there it is, that 3-run shot down the line.
Which I think was foul. Even though I have no proof of that.
There's no replay at this moment.
No, but I remember saying that was foul. Where's the replay?
So, so all of a sudden, that home run hits. You're up by 2 now in the top of the 8th. Notice there's always 2 outs. Things always seem to happen to the Rockies with 2 outs. They can never really close things out. Is that your reaction right there, that kid eating his hat?
Oh, I was punching a pillow. I was thinking, well, yeah, that figures. And trying to push the ball foul as it went.
So you got to push the ball foul. So luckily he gets out of the inning. Oh, and there it was. That's a tough call. Looks like it wraps around the pole.
Yes, it did.
Can only hope. So you do this, eventually gets out of the inning. And then Manny Corpus comes into close. I have flip forward here to the timestamp. So you got 2 outs. And like you were saying, Eric Burns coming up after talking all that trash to the team. Comes in here with 2 outs, top of the 9th.
Manny Corpus from Panama, and him and some of the other Latino pitchers I met that the following spring training. Talked to Ishmael Rogers and some of these guys that the Latinos are pretty good and fun guys. But Eric Burns, who was saying pretty much the Rockies are a fluke and we've got this, even though they were down 3-0. And Manny Corpus with that arm slot, the check swing over to Tulo, and there it is. The pure joy of Todd Helton. The image that's sketched in my mind of him catching the ball, both hands up in the air, of everything that Todd Helton went through in his career with the Rockies, the Todd father, having to go through so many disappointing seasons to catch the ball, the final out, to go to the World Series, Eric Burns sliding like a doofus into first base. We did it after so many years of disappointment, of so much, terrible player, terrible contracts, just everything about it, and it finally happens on a check swing.
Yeah, he didn't even follow through on it.
To Tulowitzki, who would have been a Hall of Famer if he would have stayed healthy. And there it was, Todd Helton.
Yeah, let's see if I can get the freeze frame on it. That's the best I can do, but...
Who do you think you are? I am. Right there. And we're not going to talk about his little prance hopping around over to the mound. But right there, that for Rockies fans meant everything.
Yeah, I think I was in 6th grade or so when this happens. And just that moment for me, I think this 2007 season is what really solidified me as a Rockies fan finally at my point in life. 6th grade, finally getting more into the game and watching. I think this moment solidified my Rockies fandom. Me as like an 11-year-old. So what ultimately does this moment mean for you in your fandom as a Rockies fan?
That it meant that the Rockies you could play baseball in Colorado. That they could put things together and win it. I don't know. It's for having, like I said, gone through so many years of the Rockies just being a joke. And the way they took care of things, they swept through the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They went in and swept Philly. And Philly had some big-time players, and they swept them. And then the Diamondbacks with Brandon Webb and those guys, they went in and knocked them out. And it was kind of what we went through the following season in my college team is a bunch of guys. These Rockies were not a bunch of big-name stars. And Matt Hawley, Todd Helton, Tulowitzki put his stamp on the map. Brad Hopp, Garrett Atkins. They had Willie Taveras that had come over from Houston that fit into place. Kaz Matsui, Jamie Carroll over at second base. Yorvit Torrealba, a bunch of no-name guys that had not done. Josh Fogg, the Dragon Slayer, who came in and threw game after game after game. That it was like these bunch of no-namers put a season together. They gelled together with Clint Hurdle at the helm. And the following season for our college team, same thing. We're a bunch of washed up guys, no namers. And, we won our conference championship and had a great season. And this one right here was just the Rockies when I think, the potential. Now they can do it. They've done it before. And we saw it in 2009. They had to go on an amazing streak to make the playoffs. The last, 2007, 2018 Rockies, they grinded it out and to make it. And that's, I think, it's 2017, and that's always my hope. They can do things. Mm-hmm. They could go to the World Series. They just got to put it all together.
Yeah. And I think just like in our first episode with the Nationals, like I mentioned, my friend, same exact thing, gives you hope. Like seeing them make it that far, they can do it. And so hopefully maybe with the 60-game season, they can figure it out. Who knows?
We'll see. But another side story is Clint Hurdle came to the college for some kind of conference, motivational speech or whatever, and to the baseball team. And afterwards, we could go and shake his hand. And I remember when this happened and they went to the World Series, I cried. I was holding on to my pillow that I punched and the just pure joy that they made it. And I told Clint Hurdle, I said, "Oh, Clint, I cried like a baby that night." And he said, "Well, so did I. There was a lot of us that did." And it was just a great memory for me as my Rockles actually did something good.
Hopefully they'll do it again eventually. But that's all the time we got. Dustin, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Sideline Crowd Moments. And you can find our other episodes on our YouTube channel. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.